Okay, I think I am finished. Let's see here. Get some water. All right. Hey man, it's good to see y'all. It's good to see y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. I think I shared as much as I can. Let's see here. Um, okay, I'm gonna stop right there because I have so many. I will be steady trying to do that. Listen, welcome. You know, I want to talk to you about something, and and I'm gonna see. I want to talk about the dark side of temptation. The dark side of temptation. The I have some clips that I'm going to be putting. I'm going to be putting it together. Um, some video clips. I'm going to be putting them together. Hopefully, I have them by Sunday, later Sunday evening or Sunday night. I'm going to have one ready. But I want to talk to you about something because we live in. I know everybody knows what type of, it's like we still got to work. We still got to live. We still got to take care of our family. We still got to. We still have to, like do the things that we normally, do. But at the same time, we can see that we can see that it's a lot of dark things are happening that we have no control of. Did you just hear what I just said? There's a lot of dark things happening that no one has control. And this is what I want to talk to you about, because we living in a, we're living in an interesting time that we never seen before. We never seen this before. No one ever seen this before. Listen, people who has outlived you would tell you they never seen this before. They never seen nothing like this before. People never seen the type of crime, the type of anger that people are getting. And if you're a type of person who has an anger, I'm gonna pray with you at the end of this program. If you have an anger, something deep down in you, you're just, you might not feel like you have anger until you really get angry, and something joins you with your angerness. So I'm going to pray with you at the end, but I want to talk to you for a few minutes, because basically, you can see that this program is revolving. Now we into talking about the dark sides of temptation. Let's talk about the dark sides of temptation. First of all, I want to show you something here, which is important. And Romans 8, I want to read something to you here. And I want to explain to you about the dark side of temptation, because see, this is the way you probably looking at temptation. The first thing when people think about temptation, they think about sex. They think about sex, but you got to understand, there is some temptation that happens to lead up to things that hurt you, things that fool you, things that kills people. You know what I'm saying? Things that allow people to get mental distress, pressure, or they be in a depression mode. So I want you to take a look at something, if you have your Bibles, in Romans 8, and I just want to say I want to show you something, and it says in verse 29, it says, "For whom God did foreknow, He also did predestinate to become formed to the image of His Son, that He might be the firstborn amongst many brethren or children." Now, what I want you to understand something. This is what I want you to see here. In verse 29, when it says, "For whom God did foreknow." Now, we understand. Let's see here. Let's just bring this up. Let's just bring this up right quick. Listen to this here. The meaning of foreknow is to have a previous knowledge of, know beforehand, especially, we're going to read about that, but know beforehand. Know beforehand. God is saying that his children, He knew them. He know them. He know them. To know somebody is to know your uncle, to know your brother, to know your sister, to know your best friend. To know is to really, really know somebody. And what makes a person be somebody? Their character, their actions, their laugh, what they think about, what they like, what they dislike. You got to take all that into consideration. the Lord says here, for whom God did foreknow. And you say, well, okay, how do this play in this time? What is God saying through the evil and through the good and through the bad and through all what's going on? What is God saying? What is God speaking to me about? What is God speaking to you about? The darkness behind temptation it is to trick you. Listen to what I'm saying. It's to trick you. It's to trick you. But you gotta understand, trick you from what though? Because a lot of people say, I'm covered up under grace. I can do what I want to do. I can continue doing what I'm doing. God is going to. I'm in process. I'm in progress. I'm in. You know, I'm all in all these processes. So if you're in all these, I want you to see this with the world. The world, it seems like it's in a process. What is the darkness behind the process in the world? What is the darkness that is keeping you sad, keeping you unhappy, keeping you confused, always thinking, what is this? If God foreknow somebody, that means God knew you before you knew you. Did you hear that? God knew you before you knew you. I want you to think about that. Think about that. God knew you before you knew you. So when people begin to think they know themselves, they don't go to God. So they don't think they think they know themselves better than God. This is actually true. It's because people don't rely on God. Listen to this. When you don't rely on God, you think on your own terms. When you worry, you think you know yourself. When you fear, you think you know yourself. When you're dealing with problems in life, you think you know yourself. When you're hoping for something to happen, you think you know yourself. When you're praying for things to happen, you think you know yourself. You think you know yourself. But God knew you before you knew you. This is one of the things that is the darkness that is behind temptation. The darkness behind temptation is that you don't see how God knows you before you knew yourself. You don't see how. But you know that God is God, and you know that God knows things before time. But to live in this knowledge, because the darkness behind temptation, the darkness behind it, which means you can be in need of something. You can pray, you can go to prophets, you can do a whole bunch of things, but you can be in need of something that is very important. And you're not getting that answer. You're not getting no signals, no signs, no nothing. But you're tempted to fear, you're tempted to doubt. And the darkness behind that temptation is because you don't know, you have not came into the full confidence and assurance that God knows you before you knew you. God knows you before you knew you. It's like if you don't take this prophetic word and meditate on it, you have the Bible, you have the words, you know the things, you know the scriptures, but you lost. You wondering. You're not lost to the point of needing a savior. But you can listen, people can be saved, be lost. People will tell you they lost. All you gotta do is go up and down. People tell you to pray for me, this going on, that going on. They be lost. The reason why people feel that they're lost is because they don't understand this one thing. Your mind, your soul, and your spirit is to stay on God. Because He knew you before you knew you. And when your heart and your mind and your soul is locked in to that, do you understand? You begin to defeat which is hidden behind temptation, the darkness that is hidden behind temptation. Because Satan is going to manifest as a woman. Satan is going to manifest as a man. Satan is going to manifest as a car, as money, prophets, apostles, and people. Satan is going to manifest in these things and become these things to you, for you, to you and for you. That is causing so much chaos and friction and confusion. His whole ideal is to get you to the point where you don't have confidence in God. You have confidence in yourself and you feel that you must do something. You heard that before. You must do something. This is what the world teaches, and people get confused by trying to balance the spirit world with the physical world, the flesh world. And the Bible tells you the flesh has its own world, its own knowledge and understanding of how it gets its confidence and its motivation. And if you're seeking for motivation from the world, are you looking for the formulas of the things that the world use? You will be experiencing this hidden darkness, this darkness behind temptation. And then when temptation comes, you won't know the form because it's going to come in a way which you least expect. What you least expect. That means that somehow you're not, you don't have on all, you're not alert. And the only way you're gonna be alert, watch this. If you can't help yourself, what is there for you to be alert? It's for you to be alert unto God. Just think about it. When you focus on God, you don't have to be alert. Think about that. And when he says it, for whom he did foreknow, previous knowledge, knowing something before. God knew you before you knew you. This is what I want you to meditate. God knew you before you knew you. So just think about where you're dwelling in right now, where your mind is at. Where is your mind? Where's your faith? Where's your understanding? And if you say, my understanding is on God. Okay, was your understanding on God an hour ago or 2 hours ago? You gotta understand what I'm saying. If you fake it, If you fake it, this is the reason why you're not making it. If you're faking it, you're not making it in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit. You're not making it. You feel depressed. You just got to be real with it. You just got to be real to understand, so you'll understand where I'm coming from. Because I don't like talking to people who think they think they are ready for this in God, ready for that, ready for this. Because I'm telling you, you're not going to have to ask. You're not going to. Your character will put you there. It will put you there. Because why? Because it's God's character in you. And God has to get you to the place where Satan can't move you. Satan don't need to move you by using these dark temptations. Like one of the things that people panic. They panic when something comes up out of the blue, or even if they knew it purposely, that it just wasn't going to come together for them. They knew it wasn't going to come together, but they were just hoping, but it didn't come together. So now they feel bad. They feel real bad. They feel real bad, and they begin to think things. They begin to think wrong thoughts, which means their mind go off into a place where it doesn't need to go. It needs to stay it needs to stay in the realm where God said, He says, I knew you before you knew you. You need to keep your faith in there. You need to keep your mind right there. God knew you before you knew you. You see, you gotta understand, those might be words, but that's the spirit. That's the atmosphere of God. And the reason why it's the atmosphere of God, because if you was to keep your mind there, it will affect you. And that means it'll affect your atmosphere. It'll affect your spirit and the atmosphere. Don't worry about if where you at or where you going, where they understand or doubt. That's not important. What's important is that you know what you're walking in the spirit. The dark temptation, you're seeing people killing themselves for sensible crimes. You're seeing people getting angry. Listen, it's happening somewhere around you. You're seeing people, they snapping, that people are losing it. And it's amazing because some of these people have been to church. You might not, you see a lot of these people killing, you see them on TV and everything, on social media and on TV and everything. And a lot of these people have been to church, they know God. Just like the guy who killed the guy over, he said that he wouldn't give him no potato chip. He killed him. And he was in the thing, he said that he was trying to get his life right with God. That's what he said. This is what I'm trying to get you to understand. It's not just happening to the people that don't know God. You think everybody that is killing and doing this stuff, you think these people never been to church. That's what you think. You think that these people, listen, when you got people that is ministers and everything, and they are crossing the truth. Listen to what I'm saying. You watching people on social media and you listening to them, and they cross the truth. They crisscross the truth. And you hear it. You can hear it. You can hear it clear. Because what it is, they get on this topic and they blow this topic up, then the next minute they have to change because they blew that top it up, and it's not true. So they have to change, but then they have to have an excuse. And you see these same people say this person wrong, then this this person wrong. Why? I'm just saying, why is this happening? Why is this happening? It's because there is a hidden agenda behind temptation. There's a darkness behind temptation. See, temptation, if a person was to tempt you for good, temptation can be for good. But then somebody can tempt you for bad. Do you understand? It's just a word that has been switched around. Do you understand? See, somebody can have a piece of cake and they say, well, I bet you won't try it. You say, I tried. I bet you won't, well, I don't want to try it. I bet you won't try it, you won't like it. They tempting them. But it's not nothing evil. Do you understand? Then another thing is a person is trying to cut out eating cake or eating sweets. And they sitting around, they saying, they got a piece of candy bar somebody gave to them and it's tempting them. That's not into death. Do you understand? You know what I'm saying? That's not into death. That's something that they're working on, which means could be their weight or their sugar. We understand that sugar, people can die from that, on that terms there. But what I'm saying, this is what I'm showing you. I'm showing you that behind temptation that is wicked, that is to bring you down, that is to have your mind, watch this, have your mind where you totally don't believe that God knows you. You really don't believe totally. And you don't know how much power that will flow through you if you come into this realization. You come into the realization that God knew you before you knew you. You come into that realization, and a lot of people, now, like I said, listen to this. A lot of people I have heard many times, God knows me. Okay. Do God know you because you bad? Is that what you're saying? Or do God know you for his will? For his perfect will? Do God know you for his perfect will? When you know God knows you, when you know that God knew you before time for his perfect will, God is going to cause you and teach you to walk in his will. He's going to teach you because your heart, you understand, you experiencing this. Experiencing what? God knows me before I knew me. This is deep. Because you might say, well, God put me on this job. How you know? How do you know that God put you on it? Oh, I prayed about it. Is that one of the keys? You have to listen. What is so beautiful about this is because God actually does a lot of things for us. It's a lot of things that God does on our behalf. If you understand, how would a power touch someone through your life if God is not in control? How can a power flow through your life and God is not in control? Think about what I'm saying. If God is in control, the power of God is going to flow through your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? The power, listen, if God is in control, the power of God is going to flow through your life. But if you're seeking for control, do you understand? If you're seeking for control, to control, this is the darkness that is behind temptation. If you're seeking for control, If you worry, these are the darkness that is behind temptation, that will cause you to fall into all types of diverse temptation, diverse things that will bring depression on you, have you so confused. You don't see that God you don't see that God is testing your faith, but what we don't understand, testing our faith is teaching us. God is teaching us. God is teaching us. The very thing that we're trying to control, we're not going to learn until we let it go. You're just not going to learn it until you let it go. Because you got to understand. You got to understand this walk with God. If you want the power of God to touch your kids, listen to this. I'm going to show you this is real. If you want the power of God to touch your kids, you got to let them go. You got to see them. You got to see them. You got to see it the way God sees it. How do God see it? God knows you. God knew you before you knew you. God knew your children before you knew them. This is how the power can flow, is when you begin to understand that God knows your child. You might say, but do this mean that I should not discipline them? Do this mean that I should trust them? No, you become a vessel to the wisdom that is flowing through what? God knows. Listen, you have to live your life and God knows. I don't know if you get this, what I'm saying. The reason why people got anxieties right now, sitting right here watching me, is because they do not have the confidence in God's word that He knows. And what they do, they mix up what they see that is empty, what they see that is broken. And what they do, they compare that, or they analyze God knows to that, and they let that win because they see that, and it's actually in their life. It's actually manifested, but they don't realize. They don't realize God knew it was going to do it before. If God knew it was going to do it before, so that God may handle the problem, you have to believe what God believed, that God knew before. And you must have confidence that God knows things before, which means if God knows things, you got to understand this. If God knows there's a problem, He automatically fixes it. He's light. You got to understand what light is. Listen, what is darkness? Darkness are things that are broken, things that are destroyed, things that are trying to mess up your family, to mess up your kids' mind, mess up this person's mind, mess up this. Do you understand? These are things that dwells in people's lives of knowing. Oh, I know this already. I know this. I know this is going to happen. Yeah, I just trust God and I just prayed about it and I just let destiny be destiny. You know, that person right there is really messed up because that's not the truth. That's never been the truth. The truth is this here. Light shines in darkness for a reason. To save, to heal, to set free. There should be no compromising. There's no compromising, and it should not be compromising. When you begin to understand and let your mind, and God says, I know you. I know you. I know you before you knew you. I knew you before you knew you. I know you before you knew you. Think about that. That's where your mind should be dwelling. Your heart should be dwelling right now. Think about that. Because everything that is going on in the physical realm, listen to this. The Bible says in the physical realm, the spirit, you see what I'm saying? It frustrates the spirit. It frustrates the spirit. You've been changed. The spirit is in you. And you frustrate, you don't even realize that because you're in another, listen, it's because you're accepting things in the wrong realm. You believe in things in the wrong realm. And you don't want to, and Satan is trying to, the flesh and Satan is trying to get you to the point where you don't want to suffer for what is right. See, to suffer for what is right is to believe God. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? To suffer righteousness is to believe God. Listen to what I'm saying. A lot of people don't believe God. Listen, you hear people, oh, I believe God, I believe God. But when you ever notice when the pressure comes, they get to cussing and acting fool and stuff, it's because they don't believe God. They think they believe God. God has not rooted. He hadn't found, listen, the spirit has not found root. And the only way to find root, the person must want to suffer by letting the world go, letting things go. Even when you come into Christ, you must let stuff go. You get a car, you get a brand new car, and you washing it. You wash it. It ain't raining. You washing it. It's not even dirty, and you washing it. You can take things too far. You take your mind too far out somewhere. When basically through God you have control, you have authority through God. You got a car, so relax. You got a brand new car, relax. Relax. Relax in God. You got a new house, relax in God. You got a new family, you got this, relax in God. Be willing, listen to this. I'm gonna close with this here. Be willing to have the wisdom. What I mean by have the wisdom, to perceive the wisdom of God, because see, when you perceive the wisdom of God, you are operating in the wisdom of God. You can't just have wisdom. You have to perceive the wisdom of God to not activate, but it's like activating, but you are acting out from the wisdom of God in your life. So perceiving the wisdom of God is how. The Bible talks about in Proverbs, about a person can be foolish and a person can be wise. So when God will speak to you, he'll speak to you to the point where he will give you wisdom. But you can become a fool, or you can be wise. Or you can become foolish, or you can become smart. Do you understand? By the wisdom of God, by the power of God. Think about what I'm saying. Because if God says to you, somehow you feel like God comes to you and says, go in there and take that vase you got. You got a special vase that you bought, or somebody gave to you, and it's very sentimental. And he said, take that vase and put it on the altar and offer it up as a sacrifice to me. And you be like, take the vase, the one I love. Listen to what I'm saying now. Anything you put first, you must let God teach you how to offer it up. You might say, well, why would I need to help? Let him teach me. It's because you can hinder the process by wanting to do what you want to do, like Abraham. You're gonna go out and you're gonna get substitutes because you don't want to suffer for doing it God's way. You're getting tired. You're getting tired. You're getting tired because you don't realize you're getting tired because you're in the flesh. You're wrestling because you're in the flesh. It says the spirit and it says the spirit and the flesh, they wrestle one to another. And this is what's happening. And you're getting tired in the spirit because you're wrestling in the flesh. And you're getting tired in the flesh because you're wrestling in the spirit. That's what happened to Abraham. Whenever you take on yourself to do something that seems like you're fixing the problem, you're actually making the problem worse. Anything that you are doing in the flesh, you're making the problem worse. That's just point blank. And you can say God, you can say anything about God you want to, but if you're doing it in the flesh, it's getting worse. Because that's why God says flesh produces destruction. Because there's nothing good in it. It's death. It's death. There's no life in it. There's no favor. You got to continue to lie. You start one lie, you got to continue. You start one manipulation, you got to continue. You got to continue those things because basically that's the only way those things generate in that realm, in that world. They continue to do what they're doing wrong. That's their worshiping Satan. That's a continuation of worship. Remember what Jesus, what Satan said to Jesus? He said, "I give you all this if you bow down and worship me. I give you all this. This is what people are doing." And what is, let me say this and I'm gonna close right here. We hear people talk about a lot of things. We see people do a lot of things. Listen to God. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to God. When you listen to people, even me, just put an ear and listen to God. Just listen. I don't care who it is. I don't care. But see, if you put a person first, like, oh, I got this problem. Oh, I like this problem. I like this and this. I'm telling you, it's just like having Isaac. You have to be able to let God. You have to be able to understand. I said like that. You have to be able to understand that God can't be second. He can't. You can put him second. He ain't gonna be. It's just not gonna be first for you. He's not gonna be first in your life. He's not gonna give you favor in your life. He's not gonna move the mountains in your life. He's not gonna bring you to the high hills in your life. He's not gonna take you and walk with you through the valleys in your life. Because you don't understand, he can't be first. I mean, he can't be second. I'm sorry. He can't be second. God is first. You gotta understand this. Listen, we can talk about this all day long. I can say, hey, put God first. It ain't gonna make no difference. He's first. That's what I need to understand. You've been hearing people say, oh, put him first. No, he's first. That's what Abraham found out. He came back and said, Sarah gonna have the child. He did it his way. God done it his way. He's first. He's first. He's gonna do it his way. When you start seeking him to do it his way, you're gonna have a wonderful child. You're gonna have a wonderful life. You're gonna listen. Even the valley is gonna have green grass in it. You understand? The valley is gonna have the sun shining. Wherever you at, the sun is gonna shine. Wherever you at, He's gonna spoil you. I don't care if you're homeless. He's gonna spoil you. If you understood these principles, these principles, because what's behind darkness, the darkness behind temptation, and it's amazing because it dressed temptation up. Like I said, Satan comes as a person. He comes as a job. He comes as things. to antagonize your faith and your mind, to throw you off. And some people have been thrown off. Some people sound like they know what they're talking about, but they don't know what they're talking about. I'm not going to say his name. He got to realize, they always say enough is enough. Enough is enough because when God says, listen to this, it's something you ain't doing that you're supposed to be doing. If your words are contradicting your whole life, your whole ministry, listen, you're gonna find it doing it in your marriage. You're gonna find it doing it in your life. You're gonna find it doing it. I'm telling you, you're gonna find these words. They're gonna contradict each other. Listen, they're gonna come alive. They're gonna come alive. They're gonna come alive. And you're gonna be so fooled by it because you don't want to. Because you want to let your heart. A lot of people don't know what it means for your heart to be lifted. It's because you don't want to take everything to the altar and offer it up to God. You don't want to offer it up to God. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. The very thing that lifts your heart. Do you not know what it means to lift your heart? It's when you want control. It's when you don't want to be wrong. And a lot of people say, oh, if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm wrong. Let me tell you something. You got to stop playing with yourself. You got to stop playing with that because I'm telling you, you get to the place where you're gonna lie on that. And if you lie on that, you probably never come out of that. It's going to have your mind going and going and going and going. Do you understand? The best thing to do, if you don't know who's going to be in office, or if you don't know what the color of the car or property or whatever, if you don't know, don't say it. Don't say it. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone because that thing right there, with that little thing that is hidden, that darkness that is hidden behind temptation, is going to cost you something. It's going to cost you. You got to understand, it's going to cost you in earth and in heaven. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. And even if you agree with somebody that is doing it, but you are not doing it, the Bible says you are counted wrong, just like them. You're counted to the same statute. God is going to judge you. Not even doing it. God is going to judge you to the same statute that you believe in this person, and God is revealing to you. But because you like the looks, or because you like this, or because you like that, your heart has been lifted to God. I'm telling you this. These are the listen, this is the darkness behind temptation. When your heart is lifted, your heart can be lifted in the smallest little things. You don't want to bow down. You don't want to bow down to your position. You don't want to bow down to the quest. You don't want to bow down, and all these things are God. And the reason why it's hard for you to believe that all of them to God is because you are looking in the flesh, and you don't want to admit it. You don't want to admit it. But see, that's all right, because what you're doing, God is showing you yourself. God is so powerful. He's so powerful. You can be in control of your life, and at the same time you're in control of your life. God is showing you. He's showing you the purpose of the control that you're controlling. He's showing you yourself he's showing you the unfruitfulness. The unfruitfulness. And this thing's powerful. God knew you before you knew you. Meditate on that tonight. Listen, I see y'all back here tomorrow. And also, I'm going to come on Facebook, but it'll be later tomorrow when I get on. That's why I look tired. and give me some sleep. Bless the Lord, because I work long hours. But listen, God bless you. And if you want to support this ministry, God has this in your heart. Listen, I don't have to, just like we don't have to tell God to be first. I don't have to tell you to be first. I don't have to tell you to support. Do you understand? God is talking to you, obey God. This is the way you're supposed to walk with God. And you'll know God. You'll know God. But see, we wrestle, listen, we're wrestling against flesh and blood. But what's happened is people are being defeated by flesh and blood. They're wrestling with flesh and blood, and they've been defeated by flesh and blood. Did you hear what I just said? They're wrestling with flesh and blood, which is the principalities and powers and weakness, but they've been defeated. And it's amazing because they're not being defeated unto death. A lot of people are being defeated unto reprobated mind, which leads to death. You don't want to have a reprobated mind. Reprobated mind is when God knows that you're just not going to bring your heart down. You're going to continue to lift your heart up. You're just not going to do it. You're just not going to do it. And then what's going to happen is God's going to let go. And you're going to have a lot of things in your life that your heart is lifted. He's just going to let you go. And listen, and you probably going to live a successful life and everything. Because Satan's going to give it to you to keep you. He do not want you, he don't want you to kneel to God. He wants you to kneel to him. Satan wants you to bow. He wants you to bow. Bow is giving him to be supreme over you. You bow into evil. And a lot of people think it's funny. A lot of people think it's all right to bow to evil. Ouija boards and witchcraft and spells and stuff, they think it's funny. They think it's all right. They think they can put some things on people and it's not going to come back. They think they can cover themselves because that's what these witch doctors, that's why they get paid a lot of money. They get paid more money than preachers. Psychics get paid more money than preachers. Car readers get paid more money than preachers. You can say whatever you want to say. They get paid more money because you got more people who is faithful, is faith. Their fruitfulness, fruitfulness, not fruitful. And they will buy these little rocks, they will do this, they get the cars, they do the reading and everything. Why do people fall? It's because darkness is hid behind temptation. And temptation, like I explained to you, temptation doesn't look like temptation. Did you get that? Temptation do not look like temptation. It doesn't look like it. Only when you find out it's temptation is after you've been messed up. After you've been got caught up and now you need to call on God. Temptation is hid, camouflage. But we too free. We're too free, which means we're unwise. If you're too free, you're unwise. You're unwise because you're too free. You're not seeking the significant move of God. You want the move of God, but you're not seeking the significant move of God. You want the power of God. You want the God of life, the power of God in your life, but you don't understand the significant. But what you want to do, you want to handle it. You want to handle it freely, and you don't understand. You can't handle God. You can't handle nothing, no gift. When you see these people doing that, I'm telling you, it's not of God. You just get close to God. You'll see it. He'll show you. I don't have to tell you who's the devil. God will show you. You got to get the devil away from you to see the devil. You got to understand. You can't see the devil fully if the devil is hanging around. Think about that. This makes sense. I know where you're going to see the devil fully in somebody. You're going to mess around and call somebody the devil, and it's going to be somebody God is working on, and God going to punish you for that. You got to get the devil away from around you. You got to get the devil complete away from around you. That's why it's not good to judge or start talking about somebody when you know that you allow the devil to hang around. You're going to get messed up. What's going to happen is you're going to get messed up in your own sin because you putting your finger on somebody else and you know the devil is hanging around you. You know it. God's showing it to you. Stop doing it. It's easy. Don't talk about everybody when you know that somebody will turn around and talk about you if they find out, or you hide it. And you hide it, then what's going to happen is if you hide it, and you don't want God to expose it because the more you hide it, if God is going to be the one to expose it, He's going to embarrass you. He's going to embarrass you openly. He's going to expose it openly. So what is this darkness, this hidden behind temptation? People are killing people they're killing kids. They just an 8th grader took her dad's hunting rifle in a tube and took it to school. I think she killed 2 or 3 people and wounded 5. The doctor, the one that did the mass killing in Nevada at the college, was a professor who graduated in Georgia College, allegedly, and tried to get a job, put in his resume. Somebody must promise it him and kept letting, this is what I'm trying to understand. Somebody must promise him and kept leading him on, and he got to the point where he snapped. He snapped. Do you see that people are putting things by, and listen, they are putting things before them, before God. They're putting what they'll do to somebody before their own life. Do you understand? They feel like their life is in these potato chips. They feel like their life is in getting this job at this college. They saw themselves. They imagine themselves. Just like he imagined himself eating a potato chip and tasting the salt, how good the potato chip would be tasting in his mouth, and eating another one and drinking it down with some good old cold beverage. He was so fooled by his imagination because Satan had dressed it up and the taste and everything. He was like, when the guy he just reached in there, put the gun out and said, and shot him because he didn't give him no potato chip. That's something else. And then the guy said, they had him on tape, and he said, I was just trusting God to work on my life. He said it. He said it out of his mouth. You think everybody that's doing wrong and going to prison, you think, and killing people, you think, man, they don't have nothing to do with God. You think that a lot of people, they don't know God. Yes, it's people doing stuff. If they doing it in the church, if you seeing men who supposed to be man of God become man or woman, they be whatever they want to be. And they be doing these things in the sight of God. And these people be shooting their wife and jumping on their wife and the wife killing her husband. When you see this stuff in the church, you got to understand what you're seeing in the world is not just people in the world killing and doing all this evil. The Antichrist is going to use the Antichrist is going to use Christians who are not upfront with God and transparent with God. Tell me why, listen, sit back. Like I'm sitting back, just sit back and rock your chest. Sit back. Just wait, just watch. That's all you got to do. You got your phone, just watch. All of you, the whole world, just watch. Just stay in front. And it's amazing. It's amazing how many people come in here and listen to me and leave. They did Christ the same way. And people don't believe that though. Because they see thousands and thousands of people following. Millions of people following Christ. But you understand, them million people walked away. They walked away. You hear me? Because he was speaking truth. This is a different type of truth. This is the truth where people don't want to die to self. People don't want to put God first. Which means I just told you that God is first. But they don't want to acknowledge that he is first. Because they want these houses. They want this prophet. They want this prophet. They want this prophecy. They want this word. They want this message from these false teachers and false preachers. I'm telling you, Jesus said, this is what Jesus said. He said, you will honor that someone comes in their own name. You'll honor. Listen to what he said. But with him now, with Christ, he said, I don't even come. See, he don't come in his name. He came in his Father's name. His Father named him. He gave the name, he gave the Father credit for the name that he named him, because God gave him the name. Just like if God give you a name. You're not going to take credit for it. God gave you a name. You're going to give God all the credit. God gave you that name. That name is anointed by God. You glorify God because God has given you a powerful name that is above all enemy, above all names. Do you get this? Do you get this? God knew you before you knew you. Listen, God bless you. God bless you and have a great night. And I will see y'all, Lord will, tomorrow. And make sure you like, share, if it's over in Facebook. Make sure you share. Listen, if God tell you to do it, and Satan tell you don't do it, what you going to do? Just like when people come on here, and the devil would tell them to leave. It'll be so powerful. He'll put something in their mind. He said, you know you ain't ready to go all the way. Find you somebody that came in their name. When you sit there comfortably and listen to somebody and they came in their name, you don't feel the death to self working while they preaching. You don't feel the dying to self while they preaching. You don't feel it. But when you come on in here, you're going to feel it. And if you choose, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But if you reject it, it's going to reject you. Because you reject it because it's death to self. But to go and follow somebody because what you like to hear, all these things are your heart lifted. Because their heart is lifted. They love to see you. They love to see 10 and 20,000. Their heart is lifted because of that. Or they wouldn't be the way they are. Think about that. It's simple. They wouldn't be the way they are. Why is God doing it like this? I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it. Jesus said to his church, this is what Jesus said to his church. He said, in the days of Elijah, when he shut up the heavens and wouldn't let it rain. Who shut up the heavens? Who wouldn't let it rain? God. He said, but God sent Elijah, not to 1,000 or 1,000,000, not to 500, not to 300, not to 20, not to 10, not to 5, not to 3, not to 2. God sent Elijah to one woman and her child. One woman and his child. If people do not catch that in this world now, if they don't catch it and they just think everything is hola la la, like a or whatever, it's because they're not seeking God. This right here is revealing that they're not seeking God. This is what Jesus was telling his own people. He was telling them, and gave them an example of the ways of God. He said and he talked about the lepers that was clean. He was talking about only one was clean. And they got mad. They got mad. Just like people get mad, come on here and get mad. They get mad. Because I get to talking and they're not ready yet. You know, people go to church, not ready yet. People living their life, they're not ready yet. When people not ready to put everything, put on the altar, and all it is, acknowledging God first. It's amazing. People go to church, but they don't want to acknowledge God first. See, you can't acknowledge God first with your mouth. You got to practice it in your heart, in your life. It has to touch your life. It has to touch you. All these other things, you can say whatever you want to say. Listen, it's very simple. And the way God is coming powerful and simple. Because this is what he said. They will not have no excuse. Listen, I never seen heaven. I never seen the other side. I never seen what Jesus said. I never seen what God said. But I know what the Holy Spirit is. I know the reality of what God says. And it's true. Because the Holy Spirit of righteousness, listen to this. How would you know that God is right if you do not have the spirit of truth? Think about that. The spirit of truth. A lot of people say, oh, you know, God, we just sinners. We just are righteous like dirty rags. Guess what? You're righteous in flesh, not in spirit. Yes, if you're in the flesh and you're doing righteous, it is dirty rags. But in the spirit, God is using you and causing you to walk in his statute. And if you're calling God's righteousness dirty rags in your life, you will bring abomination on your life and your ministry. Because there's no unjust in God. And if God abides in you and you abide in God and he calls you to walk in the statute, what are you walking in? You're walking in his righteousness. So we are called to walk in God's righteousness, not our righteousness, but God. And to walk in ours is when we begin to depend on God to walk in his righteousness in our life. Amen. Oh my God, this is so powerful. Listen, y'all be blessed. I'll talk to you later.